Why was Napoleon strong? Tell me. Well, his movement was incredibly fast, right? Napoleon originally was an artilleryman, and it was around the time when cannons were just coming into use. Until then, the philosophy of perseverance was quite common among soldiers. However, with cannons, the position where the shells would hit is determined by the gunpowder loaded into the cannon, the direction of the cannon, and factors like the wind. No matter how much perseverance you have, it doesn't matter at all whether that cannon hits or not. And since Napoleon was an artilleryman, he was someone who could make those calculations. For example, if we fire a cannon from this mountain, it will hit, right? But if we take a position here within the range of hitting from this mountain, and we can fire freely while the opponent cannot, then we can win unilaterally. This understanding of the performance of cannons is crucial. For example, it's not acceptable to say that you climbed the mountain but can't reach it. So you need to know the angle of reach, how much gunpowder is required, and how many shots can be fired consecutively. When a cannon is fired, the gunpowder explodes, and the heat can cause the cannon itself to warp or even break. Therefore, there is actually a limit to how many shots can be fired in 30 minutes. He has a good grasp of this based on his experience. So, to launch an all-out attack, he needs to determine how many cannons are required. He was someone who could properly calculate how much firepower was needed. So if, for example, 10 strong men were required to transport a cannon, then with 100 men, you could transport 10 cannons. However, people in the past tended to rely on sheer willpower to accomplish things. Napoleon, on the other hand, calculated everything and properly managed logistics, ensuring that the necessary supplies such as food, ammunition, and guns were adequately prepared and supplied. He realized that he couldn't win. Then, the next thing Napoleon did was to make everyone significantly faster. For example, if there are 10,000 soldiers and they win here, but if they are attacked from the other side and there are no soldiers there, they would lose. While battles were happening all over France, if they won here but left this area open, when the enemy came from this country, if they could return faster than the enemy could move from here to there, they would have an advantage. After having a match with 10,000 soldiers returning quickly, they can fight again. This means they can show the same combat effectiveness as 20,000 soldiers. If you think there are only 10,000 soldiers and they won't come but they do, then those 10,000 soldiers are equivalent to 20,000. They can have the same combat effectiveness as if there were 10,000 soldiers in two different locations. What Napoleon considered is that the capability of soldiers in war does not change significantly. So, if the movement is incredibly fast, isn't it the same as increasing the number of soldiers? Therefore, he implemented a strategy to move at an absurdly fast pace. First, he made them walk continuously without rest. Those who were slow and couldn't keep up were dismissed. In the past, soldiers were often judged based on their determination, so even those who were slow, the commander shouts desperately, urging everyone to follow him. But Napoleon says that those who do not keep up should die and abandons them. Essentially, if they cannot keep up, they won't even get dinner that night. They have no choice but to either desert or keep following. This might be acceptable in their own country, but for example, when they are attacking enemy territory, it concerns the movement of their army. If you get left behind, you have no choice but to die. Because if you find yourself alone surrounded by enemies, you will die, right? So, only those who are incredibly fast survived. In other words, everyone who was slow ended up dead. As a result, those who remained were extremely fast. Therefore, the information about where Napoleon has positioned his army is quite important, but as an enemy, other countries often misunderstand how fast it can actually move. So, while using them as bait, if we try to do something here, there's the possibility that they might come back unexpectedly. Also, I talked about the story of sacrificing those soldiers, and Napoleon actually puts himself on the line quite a bit. In the past, he didn't take such risks at all after he became prominent, but when he leads the charge, the lucky ones survive and the unlucky ones die. As a matter of course, let's say there's a huge wall in front and a lot of gunfire is coming from it. However, guns could not fire in rapid succession. Even if 100 people are shot, if another 100 survive afterwards, and if you can reach the opponent's wall, it means that if the opponent only has 100 people and 100 guns, they can only shoot 100 times. Since there is time to change the bullets, if you go with 200 people, the first 100 may die, but the remaining 100 will fight so you can win. That's the way of waging war. And well, if the first 100 die, then they die. Sometimes, among the first 100, there are lucky ones who survive. They are praised immensely and promoted rapidly. Now, regarding Napoleon, there was a notion that the Legion of Honor was based on a philosophy of perseverance, but that's a bit of a misunderstanding. Napoleon created a lot of these medal systems, known as the Legion of Honor. In the past, when rewarding soldiers, they used to give them money. Essentially, they would give gold or silver coins as a way to say thank you. Since money is not infinite, Napoleon came up with the idea of giving honor. When he gives out this piece of cloth called the Legion of Honor, soldiers are incredibly happy. Just by having that cloth with Legion of Honor written on it pinned to their shoulder, they feel like they are really important. It's actually very cheap, just a piece of cloth. It doesn't even mean they get money for it. But receiving that medal is considered a really good thing. When they have that cloth attached, they are praised a lot among the soldiers. It's wow, there are medals. And young people think, I want one. When they get involved, they start to feel, I want to receive a medal one day. So how can you get a medal? You can earn one by putting your body on the line. When 100 people rush in, you don't need to be smart or exceptional. If you're lucky, you can survive. Therefore, when 100 people eagerly run, wanting a medal, a few of them usually make it. You achieve victory and you receive a medal. As you become a bit more distinguished, you get a medal badge. The idea of winning and wanting to become like that makes more and more young soldiers come, aiming to win without any costs. So, during the movement, those who were fast received medals, while the slow ones died, creating a system where they became stronger throughout France, conquered France, and then crossed the Mediterranean to conquer Egypt, and went to Russia, where they were defeated. The reason they lost in Russia is that while Napoleon can defeat humans, he cannot overcome the snow.